and gentlemen, the meeting of the Shreveport City Council is now called to order. The chair now recognizes Dr. Pat Day, Senior Pastor of the First United Methodist Church of Shreveport, Louisiana, and Councilman Michael Corbin will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Let us pray. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for the privilege of being here today with the leaders of our city. Never has there been a time in our nation, in our community, in our state in which strong leadership is needed than right now. Father, I just pray for those that are leaders here that are making decisions, that they will be in accordance to your agenda. I pray that today, before we came in, that we left our egos and our agendas at the door, and that we're sensitive to your will and sensitive to your spirit. And Father, when we come to those times in which we have to make those tough, gut-wrenching decisions, may the question that we ask ourselves is not what's best for me or mine, but what's best for Shreveport, Louisiana. Father, give them courage, give them wisdom, give them insight, help them to work as your team in leading our community. Please, Lord, give our community your favor and your blessing, and continue to lead and guide these wonderful men and women who have given and dedicated their life to serving, putting service above self. Be with them now, for we pray this in Christ's holy name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilman Bradford.
Present.
Councilman Everson. Here. Councilman Jenkins. Councilman Corbin.
Present.
Councilman Flory.
Present.
Councilwoman Lynch. Here. Councilman Vogt.
Here. Is there a motion to approve minutes of the administrative conference? So moved. Motion by Councilman Corbin, second by Councilman Bowman. Is there any
I
discussion?
think it was Councilman Everson. Councilman Everson got me on that.
I'm sorry.
They look alike.
I correct.
He's a little grayer.
I think they sound.
All right, any discussion? Please vote. And motion carries. Awards recognition. Does any council member have any awards, recognitions, or distinguished guests at this time? Councilman Everson.
Thank you very much. I do have a few I'd like to recognize. And first, I'd like to start with one of our regular attendees here at City Council. I know he mentioned to us that he had been recognized for some of his service, and I'd like to give him an opportunity to tell us a little bit more about that today. And invite Mr. Sammy Mears up to tell us about his recent recognition.
Thank you, Jeff. Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, Shreveport, 71101. As you can see, I brought this trophy cup with me because at my church only a few weeks ago, Teresa Huffman on May 11th of last month was trying to throw some stuff out that she thought was junk, and I was helping out at the Christian Life Center doing the jersey shirts as I always do to help out. I saw this trophy cup and she said she was throwing out junk. I said, "Not this trophy cup, you're not." I stopped her at once and I told her if she threw this trophy cup away that's on this little basin unit that I got fixed up, I said, if you throw this away, you're going to regret it, and I'll see to it. So she decided not to throw this away. She gave it to me, and the following week, on May 18th, I went to the Smith Petty Trophy Shop, and I had them fix it up for me. Only had to pay $11. But it says, as you can see, Springs of Grace Baptist Church honors Sammy Mears for Outstanding Serviceman of the Year, May 11th, 2017. When I got this, I did want to bring it a few weeks ago. The only thing that stopped me was 90% rain, and I was not going to let it get tarnished at all, Ollie. Because when I asked you, you said it could get tarnished in rain. I wasn't going to take that chance. Today was a much better day as far as I see. And it's when me and Don Hanley went out to eat at Airline Trejos, he got to be the first one to see this before anybody else. But I told him I was going to bring it afterwards over here to the city council because I wanted anyone and everyone that was possible to see this. It was very vital to me, and it was a very specific happy moment and a precious moment that I got this, because I've helped out with the doing the laundry of the jersey shirts at the church. I'm helping out with the summer program, making adult forced coffee on Sunday morning, and a couple of other things that I like to do, like also singing in the choir. And I do whatever kind of things that I can to help out over there at Springs of Grace, and it's an important thing for me, and I like doing what I do to help out. And when I got this trophy cup, it was just a very important moment in my life, and I guess I had never expected, but I just wanted to show this today because I gave my word, and I was going to stick to it as long as the weather held.
If I could continue, I have two other groups. That I'd like to recognize.
Wait, I think the chair needs to go down and take a picture with Sammy. I want to get a picture with him with the.
Come on down.
Come on, Mr. Chairman.
Just like they say on The Price is
Councilman Everson.
All right.
Just like they say on The Price is Right, Steph, come on down.
Sammy, I'm glad, you know,
I'm referring to you too.
yeah, oh.
Maybe I want everyone to come on down.
Somebody's got to take the picture, Sam.
That does stuff based on the rain. I decide what.
Oh, don't even say that word.
Based on the rain too. So
No, don't say that
I got my
word.
new one on today because it wasn't raining, Sammy.
Don't say that word. You'll give the Lord ideas.
Come on, Mayor. We wouldn't dare. Take a picture. This is our #1 city council attendee person.
How many meetings do you think you've made it to by now, Sammy?
I have no idea.
Many.
Probably more than anyone's here, but some of the
I'm
stuff.
trying to get a. Sammy. All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And the next group is Reform. Do we have representatives from Reform here today? We've got Lavette Fuller and Tim Wright, who are with Reform. If you want to tell us a little bit about your organization and your upcoming event, I just wanted to recognize them. Their last event was so interesting that I thought it'd be nice to have them come and tell us about their next one.
Thank you so much, Councilman Everson. Good afternoon, everyone. We have Joe Minicozzi coming from North Carolina, from Urban 3, to speak at the Engine Room at Shreveport Regional Arts Council on June 22nd at 6 o'clock. We'll open doors at 5:30 for a social, and he'll begin speaking at 6 o'clock. He will be speaking about how downtowns are like a vital part of your community and how and about the economic impact of having a strong downtown. I'll let Tim elaborate.
Yeah, thank you so much for allowing us to be here today. My group, Reform Shreveport, was started about a year ago, and we're focused on bringing in speakers and finding projects around the city so that we can bring intelligent discussion and some implementable action that the citizens can do in creating a better city. And so I encourage you all to visit our Facebook page, Reform Shreveport, or our website, Reform Shreveport, to look at some of the projects we've been doing so far. We've been working with Shelley Regal on a park project in Highland Park that's been really successful so far, and we hope to use some of these ideas and to extend them to other parts of the city as well. And so I would encourage you to come out again June 22nd at 6 o'clock at Central Art Station and come learn something.
Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, we also have a Chamber of Commerce lunch that will be the same presentation that will be at noon. Lunch will be available at 11:30 as well. That's it.
That's it. So we hope that you all, as our community leaders, will make some time to come to either of those events, because we believe that speakers like this are getting more people engaged in our community, having those conversations, so that it doesn't seem just like a bunch of dry bureaucratic gibberish. We want people to really feel engaged in these conversations, because it's our future. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. Mr. Wright, what was the impetus for you starting this group, this organization?
Yeah, I've lived here for about 2 years, and I'm a civil engineer, and I saw a lot of things that I could maybe contribute to the discussion. I started writing for Heliopolis, and I thought I won't really want to. There's a lot of really great ideas about how to improve our city, and so I thought if there was a way to bring community leaders together, to bring business people together, to bring the citizens together, and discuss some of these issues, that would really do great benefit in improving our city, and so that's why I started it.
Great.
Thank you.
And if I can compliment their first event, I'll say the first event, their speaker that came in, what he was talking about is really kind of like the economics of, a lot of decisions we make in local government, we're kind of used to thinking of things in a certain way, and he cut it back to basics of what's the actual long-term cost of things versus the short-term cost of infrastructure decisions. He also made some really interesting, discussion points about kind of the value of our pre-existing neighborhoods, our older neighborhoods, those neighborhoods that we often hear disinvestment happening a lot. But he really pointed out that a lot of those neighborhoods have already paid for themselves and are really continuing to be great economic engines in ways that aren't necessarily apparent to the regular way that we think of city funding. And so, but he was talking about kind of small ideas that can be neighborhood-led that help to raise the value and improve the quality of life in those areas. And so it was a really interesting discussion. I'm sure this one will be as well. So, but it is a nice way to make some of these complex government ideas and thoughts come kind of boiled down in a way that's easy to talk about and think about on the street level and on day-to-day life. So I hope this one is a similar discussion.
Absolutely. If you'd like some more information, I'll leave some packets right here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
And I apologize to be so hogging time at the upfront of the meeting, but this next group that I want to recognize, I'm really proud to recognize them and also to be a part of them. And I'd like to invite Shelley Regal up to the microphone as well. But this is the crew of Highland, and I've had the privilege to be both the Grand Marshal and the King of the crew of Highland in the past. And this group exists to celebrate the culture of our neighborhood, but also to provide some really fun events and family-friendly parade and all the things that lead up to that. But when we make a little money, we like to give back to our community. And today we're here to, if we can invite the crew of Highland up. I see we've got a lot of representatives over there. We'd love to see y'all. And the crew of Highland is going to be here today to present a check to the city for a few improvements that we've partnered with in our neighborhood. And I think Shelley's going to give a brief introduction. And I may take my city council hat off, put my crew of Highland hat on, and join them down there.
Good afternoon, Mayor, CAO, Chairman, members of the City Council. I am here, grateful to be standing here today with one of our partners. The crew of Highland has been a partner of the City of Shreveport for about 20 years, and we could not be more proud of the partnership that has grown from a parade that took a couple of blocks to one now that is just big and growing every year. These members have also done other things in their community that we've been a part of. One of those is the Highland Jazz Festival. And Kelly Rich is here today from that organization. Also, Matthew's here, and I'll give him an opportunity to speak. But they have helped us do some projects in the Highland area that have been needing to be done. One is the upgrade to electrical and lighting at Columbia Park. Not only will it help daily with the lighting, but the electrical upgrades will be very important to the crew of Highland and their jazz event each year. The other thing that they have done in support of our new bicycle paths, they have given us funding to buy a bicycle repair station that will be placed at Columbia Park. So if you're going down Gilbert, it'll be right there so that you can, if you are running low on air, you need to tighten something, all of that will be right there for you. And the other big event that they did this year in support of our holiday lights was they decorated and paid to decorate fire station number 7. So we're really proud of all those projects, but most of all, we're proud of the friendship and the partnership that we've had for the last 20 years. Matthew and Mayor, I'm going to ask you to come down and take this check because it is to the City of Shreveport. Matthew, do you want to say something?
Absolutely. I wouldn't miss this opportunity in the world to give the city of Shreveport a check for things that the inhabitants of Highland would like. Here you go. Now, granted, Mayor Tyler was the Grand Marshal for the crew of Highland her very first year of her first term as mayor for the city of Shreveport. And we were very appreciative to her serving as Grand Marshal for the crew of Highland. Of course, Jeff Everson, he has the honor of being the only person to be on our board of directors, the Grand Marshal for the crew of Highland, and the King for the crew of Highland. So he's worn every hat as well. Lavette Fuller with Reform Shreveport was last year's Queen for the crew of Highland and has served as chair of the parade for many years prior to that. Bill McGill, he has been the glue that has held us together through technological, I can't even say the word, technological pains that we have felt. As much as I'd like to be a tech head, I'm not, and he has really helped us every single time the website was, we were getting over 3,000 hits a day, and he helped us fix that throughout the Mardi Gras season, and just a wonderful asset. Now, yay, Bill! And then, of course, we have Katie and Keegan Larson. Now, you know, you have spirit within different groups, and then you have wild cards in different groups. And when sometimes the spirit gets low, you need that wild card to like spark a flame and excite everybody. And our captain, Katie Larson, has been that spark that has really kept everybody on their toes, so that we want to go to the events, so that we just are so excited to see what shenanigans we're able to pull in the following events. And then Kelly Rich, who's been a partner with us with the Highland Area Partnership and the Highland Jazz and Blues Fest. The Highland Area Partnership, which is the Highland Jazz and Blues Fest, was the very first sponsoring body that gave money to the crew of Highland. And with that, the crew of Highland is so proud to be able to return something to the Highland Jazz and Blues Fest through the city of Shreveport in this effort to keep Highland revitalized and keep the energy going that we have built over the crew of Highland, Shelley. This 24 years. And so I think I predate you 1 year. You've been here 23 and the crew of Highland 24. And so we've been working with Shelley since day one and have had a very fun and energized relationship with each other and getting everything going as far as not just the crew of Highland but other festivals throughout the city. Of all the painful jobs that you could ever have, my lovely wife Lisa has the job of being married to me, as well as the secretary for the crew of Highland. So she keeps all the notes for the crew of Highland for our board of directors meetings, which we are a 501(c)(3). And then Tim Wright with Bike Shreveport, of course, Chris Line and Stephen Peterson and Maurice Loredans, all with Bike Shreveport, as a special way of saying thank you to Mayor Tyler and the City Council for implementing the bicycle lanes in Highland before any other neighborhoods. We're so proud to be number one that we wanted to jump on that winning bandwagon. And Bike Shreveport put forth a note, and I got a phone call that they wanted a bicycle repair station, which is why it's amazing when things come in under budget. And so when the electrical upgrade to Columbia Park came in under budget, we said, well, let's not cut our budget. Let's spend some more money. So we doubled the security lighting in Columbia Park. And then when that came in under budget, we were like, well, there's a little bit more left. Let's get that bicycle repair station so that we can just add more positive to the positive of the bicycle lanes that Mayor Tyler was so gracious in letting us be the first on the list of many that get these almost zero cost bicycle lanes just for the sheer cost of painting the line in a different row. So thank you all for that, and Thank you for everything. And I want to open up the mic to keep y'all's meeting going. For any board member that would, Katie, you're the captain. Do you want to say anything? Okay, I think everybody. I've said it all. Anyway, thank you so much, City of Shreveport, for being a long-standing partner and helping the Crew of Highland grow over these past 24 years. I'm going to say one more thing. We chose Sunday for our parade because we wanted to keep people in the city of Shreveport one more day, so that to keep the tourists here, to spend money, to get another hotel night, to stay here Monday morning, and we've been hugely successful in that. We look to grow Mardi Gras in the city of Shreveport for the goal of growing the tourist economy. There's a lot of families that don't want to drive any further than right here, and we have provided them a product that they desire, that they want to come and see the Crew of Highland Parade, and they want to be a part of it. And we welcome everybody from every lifestyle, from not just Highland, but other neighborhoods, other states, and other communities to participate and have all the fun that we have. And in keeping people in Highland, in the city of Shreveport, till 6 o'clock at night, they're now saying, oh my goodness, let's just spend another night. And they are spending another night. And then instead of leaving Sunday morning, they're now leaving Monday morning. And we look forward to the challenge of keeping them here on Lune de Gras and Fat Tuesday, and look forward to working with the city of Shreveport, the school board, all the other Mardi Gras crews, and the citizens to have Mardi Gras Monday and Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen, I like your speech.
Maybe we ask him to speak on Sunday night. They'll definitely spend the night there to be.
Councilwoman Lynch? Have you on?
No, I'm good, thank you.
You're good?
Only Matthew's gonna bring us a check from the parish next time, Matthew.
Couple more there. Don't go
You'll
there.
bring-
Don't go there. Got going with you on the board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And unfortunately, I have neither a check nor a crowd to bring up. So just a couple of announcements. First, I'd like to recognize and thank KTVS in Margaritaville for bringing the Vietnam Memorial Traveling Wall to the Arklatex. And I would encourage anyone who's not gone to have a look at it. There's just a few hours left. And I'm sorry, Mayor, but I would encourage people to take a brief trip across the river, then come right back. But go see the wall. It is, if you don't have a lot of memories of the Vietnam era, it is quite touching to go and see all those names and look at those dates. And it's very good that we have that here. Second, I would like to congratulate David and Laura Alvis on the opening of their Silver Star Grill at Forving Marketplace. A number of us were out there for the ribbon cutting last week. And for those who go by Forving Marketplace, you'll notice that it is almost at 100% occupancy for the buildings that are finished right now. There's a new building that will be starting in the next few weeks, a new coffee house, and there's room to add more. So congratulations to Laura and David on that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
At this time, I'd like to call those with Paint Your Heart Out up. You recognize at this time?
Mr. Chairman, I happen to know this is Marsha's birthday.
She's gonna sing.
I
thought maybe you all would sing to me.
You sound a lot better than we do.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us. I'm going to move quickly through this. Of course, you all may know by now that Paint Your Heart Out Shreveport celebrated its 25th anniversary this year, and we are just so proud. I want to start by showing you a condensed version of a documentary that we did this year, and then I'll move on to my presentation.
I've been working with Paint Your Heart Out for about 10 years, and I think it's a fantastic program. To me, it's an opportunity to give back, especially our senior citizens. You know, we want them to, their golden years to be their best years.
The city provides this program and allows for different churches, different organizations, businesses to come in and paint these houses, and it cleans up, it dresses up the neighborhood, makes the people feel good that their house is back in good shape.
When I first came to the city of Shreveport in 1991, there were guns blazing in preparation for this program called Paint Your Heart Out Shreveport.
But one thing that's been interesting in this project, I wore an old shirt the first year, 25 years ago, and it got paint splattered on. I wore it again the next year, and I continued wearing it for 25 years. For years, I could identify by looking at the sleeves or looking at spots of paint what the neighborhood was, and I could remember the homeowner for whom we painted there.
I've been working with Paint Your Heart Out since the inception, and I guess that's been about 25 years. The first coordinator under Lillian Priest.
We've been doing the Paint Your Heart Out for pretty much over a decade now. You know, we've been helping out at the warehouse. What we love to do is we provide the manpower to help unload the paint into the volunteers' vehicles as they come pick up the supplies.
So this is a chance to get out there, roll up your sleeve, and do something worthwhile. And it doesn't have to be your neighborhood as long as it is Shreveport.
Paint Your Heart Out is one of those tools we use to address housing for the elderly and disabled. And we recognize that the work that we do every year has an incredible impact on the lives of the elderly and disabled.
Somebody told me about Paint Your Heart Out, and I called them. And they made me an appointment to come out and paint my house because I'm a widow and I'm 80 years old and I couldn't do it anymore.
I think it's a wonderful thing to do, you know, for the people that, you know, don't have a lot of money or whatever, you can get your house painted.
And this particular year, I went to the homeowner and she said to me that she made $3.50 an hour working at a local hospital. And she said she saved her little pennies to buy her a home. And as she looked at me with tears in her eyes, she said, "This house may not mean anything to you, but it means a lot to me." And I left there that day thanking God for the opportunity to serve Him in such a great way.
I'm 84 years old now, and I plan to keep on painting this year and next year and for a lot of years in the future. And I encourage other people to come and do the same thing.
It's got near and dear to my heart now. It's not just a job to me. It's a part of me. I would love to see it continue, as I know that we have budget cuts and some things that are going on, but I hope that we find a way to keep this program going. About 7 years ago, we started what's called the Willie J.C. Critton Team Spirit Award. And this is where it's a competition among the teams that want to participate. And what they do is a little extra for the homeowner. They'll mow the lawn, provide hanging baskets, do a lot of landscaping, and just make the house look even better than just a paint job. So, like I said, it's a competition, and we have the winners this year here today, some representatives from the Central Elite Contact Center, Alpha Kappa Alpha Delta Lambda Omega Chapter, and Dr. Reddy's Laboratories. If you would come up at this time, please. We'll start with our third place winner, who is Dr. Reddy's Laboratories. Our second place winner, Alpha Kappa Alpha Delta Lambda Omega Chapter. Third place winner, Central Elite Contact Center. That's good. And this was their first year participating, and they won first place.
Pictures. Mr. Chairman, do you want to come down? Mr. Chairman, would you like to come down? Give me just a second. While he's coming, we shake hands. Thank you all so much. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Most of the number of volunteers. There's some type of subjective. Your house looks good. You get first place.
It's not the amount you pick up.
No,
Or the
yeah,
amount
maybe
you-
a market question.
Thank you. Thank you all so much.
Marshall, are those awarded based on the number of volunteers, or?
No, the award is based on everything that they did to beautify the house.
So
Oh,
it's
so like
judged.
Landscape.
It's judged.
It's judged. We have judges from our steering committee that go to judge the houses. We had about 17 houses for them to judge this year.
Okay.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Right. Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes,
I want to just say thank you to Ms. Nelson. She is our coordinator for this particular project throughout the city, and she's done it for a long time. So I want us to give her a hand. She does an excellent job. And in addition, I want to thank all of the people who served and participated in making sure that our senior citizens have a nice place to live. And they do it every year. They do about 50 houses, I think. And it is something that we really need to continue and do more and more of. So I do want to say thank you to all of the people who participated in this effort this year. Thank you, sir.
The chair at this time would like to recognize my friend Commissioner Mario Chavez, I believe came into the chamber. Mario, it's good to have you here. Does any other council member need to be recognized? Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the council. I again want to thank Councilman Bowman and Chairman Fleury for joining us last week at the graduation ceremony for our 76th basic training class for the Shreveport Police Department. We have 20 more fine young men and women who will join the ranks of those who protect and serve. We also have the head of that class who will be joining the police force at our regional airport. We're so proud of all of them, and we welcome their service to our citizens. Good Morning America has announced the return of American Idol. Also, they have a link to audition, and there is a list of the audition bus tour stops, and Shreveport is on the list. And so and I wanted our citizens to know that the audition bus will be here on September the 4th at Riverview Park. And we look forward to having our local talent get a shot at this national stage. So we wanted everybody to know that American Idol bus tour will be here in Shreveport. The Shreveport Airport Authority the Shreveport Regional Airport and the City of Shreveport were awarded a $500,000 grant by the U.S. Department of Commerce that will help expand the aerospace program for Southern University here in Shreveport. This program, of course, is a jewel for our community and region. This grant will help us not only save jobs, but educate our youth and keep them right here in Shreveport. The improvements made possible by this grant will upgrade the former Army Reserve building. It will be collaboration among the Airport Authority, Southern University Shreveport, and the state's Economic Development Department, all of which will invest to make improvements. And of course, work on this facility will begin in the next few weeks. I wanted to invite our council members and those of you who appear in the audience to a press conference on Thursday, this Thursday at 11 a.m. at LSUS for the kickoff of the Red River Balloon Rally and the U.S. Hot Air Balloon Nationals. We had that in our region last year, and it was really a success. So we're asking you to please support that effort again. It does bring in a lot of economic dollars for our city and for our region. At this time, I'd like to recognize a young lady who is a business owner in our city who was recently recognized by LED, which is our Louisiana Economic Development, with the 2017 Louisiana Small Business Award. Ms. Taya Scroggins, owner of Scroggins Consulting, was awarded the 8G grade of Graduate of the Year Award. Ms. Scroggins is one of our Fair Share and DBE clients. And I want Ms. Scroggins to stand at this time And I'm going to ask you to join me in giving her a big round of applause. Congratulations, Ms. Vargas. She was a winner at the state level, so we're very proud to see that our talent right here in Shreveport as a business leader is really coming home to our city. Earlier today, we held a press conference to announce the return of the sickle cell softball tournament at Cargill Park. The event will be held in July, and right now we're saying July 6th is going to be the date that we cut the ribbon. And of course, July 7th, the softball tournament for sickle cell will kick off on that day. And we want to invite everybody to go out and support this worthwhile effort. As you know, our Cargill Park has been on renovations for the past year. And now we're going to be cutting that ribbon. And I want to thank Ms. Regal and her team for making sure that we get those renovations done. We continue to serve our citizens with numerous events. Since we last met, the city has supported several events, and I'll name just a few of those. Mudbook Madness in Festival Plaza on Memorial Day weekend, Bill Cockerell Pool Ribbon Cutting, Bill Cockerell Pack Awards, where we honored people who received the J.D. Hudson and Joyce Bowman annual awards. And of course, James Burton was recognized with the kickoff of the Art of the Guitar exhibition, which will feature his guitars at Art Space for 3 months. Movies and Moonbeams showing of Finding Dory in Riverview Park. Farmers Market opened in Festival Plaza. Red River Roadrunners Fun Run Series every Thursday through July. Youth Fit running program began at Betty Virginia Park, Saturday in the Square in Red River District, and the list goes on and on and on. So we want our citizens to know that Shreveport has a lot to offer for family and adults. Those are the announcements. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mayor. And that brings us to reports. Does any council member at this time have any questions in regards to reports from Mr. Green of Property Standards? Mr. Green, I see none. Thank you very much, sir, for your service. And we've already covered the other two reports. Adding legislation to the agenda. Mr. Thompson, is there anything to add today?
We have two matters, Mr. Chairman. Resolution 113, a resolution in remembrance of Mrs. Eunice Lister and otherwise provided with respect thereto. And Resolution 114 authorizes the mayor to execute an intergovernmental agreement and cooperative endeavor agreement between the city of Shreveport and the town of Blanchard.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I move that these resolutions 113 and 114 be added to the agenda.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, you'll also need to inquire as to whether or not anybody would like to speak.
Is anyone here who would like to speak for adding these? Is anyone here speaking in resolution 113 and 114? Anyone speak against? Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Bradford, second by Councilman Bowman. Is there any discussion? Please vote. Motion carried. In regards to the public comments, we will now hear for those who want to speak on the agenda. Those of you that have come to speak in regards to the zoning, we will hold those comments at that until that time we come to that part of the agenda. Right now we have John Settle who wants to speak on 108. Mr. Settle, would you please come forth and give us your name and address? And you have 3 minutes, sir.
I'm John Settle. My address is 4 Tealwood, Shreveport, 71104. I'm urging you to unanimously adopt Councilman Bradford's Resolution 108 today, unanimously. I realize that maybe passing a resolution that the mayor's not in favor of could have consequences, or maybe you may think so, but it's time to do what's best for the city. Pastor Day challenged you in his prayer. He said that it's time for strong leadership, and he prayed for that. And it's time to leave egos at the door, and he prayed for that. And it's time to do what's best for Shreveport. I look at the TV news on my iPad most every morning, all 3 channels. Yesterday, the city lost the class action, trying to oppose the class action on the water bill. That is significant, because that means that litigation will go forward. And I've tracked the litigation that's been filed in the Pernice matter. In fact, I wrote a column saying the defamation suit was ludicrous, and thank goodness the court ruled that way, and sanctions may be opposed. But the other suit that were consolidated into class action are going to cost the city money, lots of money, if nothing else on attorney's fees. That's not good economic news for our city. And if you look at crime, just in the last couple of days, we've had a lady robbed by gunpoint, a motorist on I-20 car riddled, and 2 other shootings within 2 minutes. Crime is a reality, and the perception is a reality. Our mayor took her whole office down to New Orleans to pitch the arena. I made a public records request to find out how much time, energy, and money was spent preparing the pitch and doing it. I wish that pitch had been done with all local law enforcement. And maybe it has, but there's no reason to keep it a secret, because every time you ask the mayor a question to forum, it's a secret on policing. As a council, y'all meet in executive sessions and y'all get to share secrets about personnel matters and lawsuits. Y'all should be informed on what is being done to address this problem. I don't know if the mayor will be a candidate next year, but 4 of you will. 3 of you will live with the legacy of what you did in the last year. It's time to address something we don't want to deal with. City economics and crime, and they're related. Please pass this unanimously. Thank you.
Okay. There are no items under consent agenda. Introduction, Mr. Thompson, please continue.
Mr. Chairman, we have the following items on the consent agenda. Resolution 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, and the one that was added, 113. The adoption, a motion to adopt the consent agenda would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilman Jenkins, second by Councilman Corbin. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, we're now into regular agenda legislation. The first is Resolution 100, a resolution selecting the Times as the official journal of the City of Shreveport for the period July 1st through June the 30th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Lynch, second by Councilman Corbin. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes.
Resolution 101 is a resolution which selects the Shreveport Sun as the auxiliary official journal for the City of Shreveport for the period July 1 through June 30th.
Motion by Councilman Bradford, second by Councilwoman Lynch. Any discussion?
Yes.
Please vote.
Discussion? Yes.
Got discussion?
So I sent you an email, and then you sent an email to the city attorney. Did we ever get a response on what scenarios we could actually use the Shreveport Sun in?
Mr. Chairman, we did not get a response that I remember from the city attorney, but the body of the resolution states the state law. And if there are 2 or more times that you have to advertise a particular item, then one of those can be advertised in the auxiliary journal, and it will be the same as advertising in the official journal. The other thing that it allows is anytime you are required to advertise, you can also advertise in the auxiliary journal, but that is not the same as advertising in the official journal.
So that would be an added expense in that case. But in the other case, assuming the rates were similar, there would be no added expense.
The rates cannot be more than they are of the official journal, so there would be no added expense.
Okay, so in that scenario where you're advertising more than once, could use the auxiliary journal and not
For one of those.
for one of those 2 times and not incur any greater cost.
That's for sure.
And did anybody come back with how many times we've done that last year?
No, we did not look at that, but there are a number of times that we are required to do that. I think we have one on the agenda now. We have to advertise 3 times within 15 days. It is not unusual at all.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Please vote. Motion passed. Carried, excuse me.
Resolution 108 authorizes the mayor to request assistance from the Caddo Parish Sheriff to aid the Shreveport Police Department in patrolling and other law enforcement activities within the city of Shreveport due to statistics showing a surge in crime in Shreveport.
Also move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Councilman Bratton, second by Councilwoman Lynch. Any discussion? Please vote.
Wait, can I just, as a clarification, yesterday there was some discussion about how it was originally worded and how it's worded now. Was there any, there were no changes made to it, obviously. I mean, I don't see an amendment, but I just wanted to clarify.
Certainly proposed.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, there just was discussion about that, but I don't guess any action was taken. Okay.
It said patrolling and other law enforcement activities, but that's where we left it. I think it's where I see it on the agenda.
And we can, I mean, but the patrolling, I'm still lost on, I don't say lost, I still don't understand on how, when we're asking the mayor to do what she already has the power and authority, what is the purpose of the resolution, I guess, that's what I'm.
Mr. Bradford, you'd like to speak to that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yesterday we, I thought, fully discussed and had a clear understanding of what my intentions and purpose of this resolution was, and it's only, I hope it don't get misconstrued into any other thing than what it is. It's that the spike in crime is at such a level that we need additional resources in patrolling and other things that has afforded us to come into the city. Simple as that. As it relates to the details of the joint venture, if we such move in that direction, it would be determined by the sheriff department as well as in conjunction with the Shreveport Police Department. Now I put patrolling as a primary, and then I say other law enforcement activities, which again in phase 1 the discussion would take place, and then we would get a feedback from those entities to see what direction that they want to go in the scope of their strategy. And then we can make a determination on if there is compensation to the sheriff department or how we would allocate such compensation. I said again that I think the Caddo Parish Commission should be approached financing as if this comes to that level, because they also in the parish, and 70–80% of Caddo Parish revenue comes from the city. So I think they need to be a part of the equation. But we just living in a time where if we don't address this issue now, we're going to further drift out into a sea of crime and create for our citizens a very uncomfortable situation. One of our first and primary responsibilities as a city government is to provide safety to our citizens. Now, it was said yesterday that there's already some action being taken with the sheriff department. I have to say that if that's the case and the crime statistics are what they are, then obviously the spirit of my concern and motion is not a part of that joint and collaborative effort. Because I just refuse to believe that if the sheriff department was constantly involved in Shreveport's law enforcement activities, that we would have a 30% increase in crime over last year this time, and that the homicides and the residential burglaries and the shootings and those kind of things would be at a level that they are now. So, it's again the determination of how we would fashion this collaborative effort would be determined by the law enforcement officers. Certainly, I went to Citizens Police Academy and got a lot of experience on how policing work, but I'm no expert. But I do know that there are statistical data that says more patrolling, more visibility of police officers, and I'm using the term police officers instead of law enforcement, but more visibility of law enforcement and patrolling has a direct correlation to decreasing crime and crime activity and criminal behavior. And I'm just saying that the approach in engaging the Kettle Parish Sheriff would afford this body and this city to seek and tap into resources that are available. And I think they're willing and ready to be utilized. I made the sheriff aware that I was going to propose this resolution, and that discussions with him would be forthcoming, not from me, but from the administration and the Shreveport Police Department. And that I would not believe that he would refuse to engage in such an operation and bring what is asked of him into the city, knowing that he is indeed the chief law enforcement officer for Kettle Parish, and that Shreveport is a major part of Kettle Parish. So I'm not, contrary to what you may believe, Council, I'm not, this resolution does not demand the mayor to do something that she can already do. Is to direct that this administration will seek out the sheriff department and engage in a strategic plan to utilize them to help fight crime. The citizens deserve to be safe. The citizens deserve that we utilize every measure, every opportunity that we can ascertain to be a part of this fight against crime in Shreveport. The numbers are what they are. I didn't make them up. We cannot continue to live in fear. We cannot continue without acting to allow our citizens to feel like they're hostages in their own homes. I, again, solicit your vote to move forward in getting the ball rolling to help our citizens and to help eradicate this horrible and sometimes senseless crime behavior that we are experiencing right now.
I understand fully on what you're saying, and I just think that we, as a council, should do the same as that. If that's the case, I think that all of us can go to the sheriff department just as the mayor can. So I'm kind of in a pickle as far as that's concerned, as far as telling or asking the mayor to do what all of us as a body can do, which is vary the same weight, I believe. But with the mayor not being a law enforcement person herself, I want to ask the sheriff, it's okay if I ask the mayor if she had something she wanted to weigh in on that. But is that the mayor's responsibility, or would that be something for the chief to do? I'm lost.
I don't have a problem with the request. I do want Councilman Bradford and everybody to know that I've already met with Sheriff Prater. I met with him 6 weeks ago, and I think I said that yesterday, May 2nd, this year, at 1:30. I went to his office. He and I have met twice, actually, and I've already asked him to help us, and he is already working to do that. We have some other meetings that we have set up. We've been meeting with federal people also, but they don't have the strategy of the some of the patrolling. They haven't gotten that far yet because they are working with federal law enforcement agents. And of course, we too have made safety in this city a priority. That is our #1 goal. And I've already been talking with both, and I've met with the sheriff. I've asked him to help us. He's doing some things with a task force, different task forces. Actually, we've already been talking with the media about some of those areas, but we're going to be doing more, and we must do more. I admit that, but I have already asked him for his assistance. I've also spoken with some federal law enforcement agencies, and they're going to be working with us, but they're working on a strategy, and we don't have a strategy yet. In fact, they met last week. And so I just wanted our public to know that this mayor has already begun those meetings, and I've had several meetings. And so, you know, I don't have a problem with, you know, the concern. So we're already doing that, and we plan to continue. And we'll be coming to our public to let you know once we can get a solid strategy down. But they're doing some things already. We noticed last week that there was one of the strategies that had been employed. We did do a big drug bust last week. I know it was in the Shreveport Times, and that was a joint effort. It was not done just by Shreveport Police. It was done in collaboration with the Sheriff Department. But we know that we have those issues out there, and we have gone and asked for help, and I needed to say that.
I just think that I know that a lot of people was asking about a press conference or something to be said, and I get exactly where Councilman Bradford is coming from. So after all that, I just if I can, I'd like to ask city attorney his opinion, and after that, Councilwoman Lynch.
All right, and kind of being a party to all discussions, both on the council side and with the mayor, you know, I understand the spirit of the resolution. I think that what's been lost in translation is the nuanced part of authorizing the mayor. I think that's where some of the hang-up has been. I don't think, and I'm speaking as city attorney and as kind of a participant to the conversations, I don't think anybody in the room is lost on the fact that, you know, it's all hands on deck to curb crime and to curb and to support our police department. But as I understand it, the issue is it a necessity to authorize the mayor to request that assistance? And in my opinion, I think the mayor has that authority under the charter. I think a request to the mayor for the assistance or to request the mayor is appropriate. I think that if there's a cooperative endeavor agreement or an intergovernmental agreement that needs to be approved, that's appropriate, or funding or financing for that effort. I don't want it to be lost that the discussion is the language of authorizing the mayor. And I think, in my opinion, that is what the charter provides. But again, I do understand the spirit of the resolution. I think anyone supports, you know, the effort to curtail crime in our locality.
Can I respond, Mr. Chairman? And again, I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. So you saying authorize and request is where we at, and I'm just I'm just asking just to be. I want to be personal what I'm saying. I know it takes up some time, but I just want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. So
in our world, words mean things, and so it's just a function of as the language is laid out, I think is the point of contention. The mayor has the authority to reach out to the sheriff's department. But again, I understand the spirit of the resolution. I think that a request to the mayor or that there is a resolution requesting the mayor to reach out to the sheriff is one thing versus authorizing. I think that's where the hang-up is. But it's, again, that's from a legal standpoint, I'm not a policymaker. So I don't intend to do that, but I don't think it's lost on anyone what the spirit of the resolution actually is.
Yeah, let me respond and say that, and this conversation was held between myself and the council clerk. Okay. The language, the authorizing part, is consistent with resolutions. Okay. If you look at every resolution on this docket, it will say authorizing the mayor. Okay. Now, and my reason for doing that is that I wanted the conversation to come back to the council. That we ask you to do this, and that once that has been done in some type of planning strategy for addressing this issue was forwarded, then we would get information and reports about that. Now, again, I'm not hung up on that, okay? But I will say, in all due respect to the mayor and to the Carroll Parish Sheriff, is that in my conversation with the Carroll Parish Sheriff, and I emailed him, and I copied the chairman and the clerk, and it was clear what I asked of him, and I have not discussed this with him, but in his response to me, there was no mention of, oh, Councilman, we already engaged in some strategy and planning. Okay. Now, it may be, but he did not relate that to me. So in the spirit of moving forward, Mr. Chairman, I would like to amend my motion to say we request the mayor to reach out. Let me make sure I want to say this right. A resolution urging the mayor to request assistance from the Carroll Parish Sheriff to aid the Shreveport Police Department in patrolling and other law enforcement activities within the city of Shreveport due to the statistics showing a surge in crime in Shreveport. That's my substitute motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Ms. Lynch, you were on the floor to speak.
Yeah, let me second that motion.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Bradford, would that also be changed in the now therefore be it resolved clause to urging?
Yes, sir. Change the total language to urging where it said authorizing.
And would we be authorized to reprint the resolution with these changes as the official resolution?
That's my motion, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Clerk.
Okay, we have Councilman Corbin want to speak. I'm sorry, Councilwoman Lynch.
Okay, so is that better to everybody's liking? I'm just trying to, because I don't really want us to split hairs. And I understand all the ramifications and words have meaning. So I just want to, and everybody's acknowledging they don't have an issue with the spirit of the resolution. But if that particular one word is changed in those two places, does that make it more palatable to people that had expressed concerns about that particular part? I guess I'm just throwing that out there.
I like to request it better, but the word request sounded better to me.
Urging is not authorized. Request is there, Councilman Wolf.
Yeah,
You notice, request is there.
Yeah,
Urge them after request. Okay.
Debating how much I should really say, but let me say this. When the council has a public safety committee for a reason. And to think that the council would not, at some point, as it has in the last 3 years, put forth policies and some legislation dealing with public safety matters. And what we have seen over the last few years, particularly since maybe last year, even more so the beginning of this year, that this council would not in some way take some measure, some actions, even if it's imperfect, to say to our citizens that we are just as concerned about these shootings, these robberies, and the spike in crime, you know, would not be a good thing if we did not do that. And not to wait until it continues to happen. But when we see that there's an increase, to immediately address it. Not saying that there aren't things that have been happening, meetings that have been occurring, but even in that 6-week time period since the mayor met with the sheriff, how many people have gotten killed? How many more incidents are there going to be? Now, when there was a spike in crime, I believe it was in the Broadmoor area, a meeting was put together so fast from the city saying that crime, it was everybody's concern. Everybody means everybody. And it means every entity, if that's what it takes. If that means the sheriff, the city marshal, the National Guard, the state police, whoever needs to be at the table, it needs to be a part. If it's everyone's concern, it's everyone's concern. And, you know, while this resolution is limiting it to one other entity, you know, I would hope that that it would be extended to other entities to help and assist. Now, there was one, you know, incident that we had, and there were a number of officers that reported to the scene of a crime. And, you know, the reality is there are safer parts of Shreveport than there are other parts. And while we say it's everyone's concern, you know, some people are less concerned than others. But the reality is we had this group up here earlier talking about bringing somebody in to start talking about downtown and how it's such a central focus and what have you. But the reality is a lot of people are not coming downtown after dark because of the perception, and I think it's largely a perception, of it being crime-ridden. They're scared. They'll pop in and out for a few events, but on the whole, when they get off work, they're out of here, and they're not coming back. And so I'm, you know, commend Councilman Bradford for, you know, stepping up on this. I commend Councilman Bowman for the work he and his committee have been doing, Public Safety Committee. So let's not split hairs. Let's be together and at least give some assurance from the council that we are just as concerned about this spike in crime that we're having. Many of us that have lived here for you know, practically all our lives, we know what this feels like. We know what it looks like. We can look back at the 80s and the 90s and remember what was going on and how we lost a lot of population, young people, out of this city. And we had more economic opportunities then than we do now. But they didn't want to live in a city that had all the crime going on. And so this is a very, serious issue in a lot of respects. It's not about this word authorizing. This is bigger than that. This is bigger than that. And so I don't want us to split hairs. Urging, requesting, whatever. The bottom line is saying, let's do something. We want something done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Coleman, you've been patient.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I made a number of comments yesterday about language, so there's no sense in repeating that today, and language has been changed a bit. There is no citizen in this city that is not concerned about crime to some extent, nor anybody sitting up here that's not concerned about it. There's probably not been a council meeting this year that we've not had a piece of this discussion. All of us have been contacted by citizens. We're aware of it. We know that people in some instances are very scared, and in other instances are paying more attention. Our job as legislators is very different from the mayor's job. And I'm not a big fan of legislation that is primarily symbolic and it doesn't get anything actually done. I have concerns about crime. I have concerns about some things going on in the police department. I went to the administration and talked to them about it, and they listened, and I hope my 6 colleagues up here will do the same. If you have specific things that you're hearing or concerned about, I agree with Councilwoman Lynch. We have a public safety committee. There's a way to narrow some things down, bring some other topics up for discussion, come up with some legislation that has some meat in it if we need to, and move forward that way. Whether the sheriff stays involved, whether the state police comes in, whether the National Guard comes in, who knows what we need. And that probably varies from day to day. But just like it's not our job to go and tell the police chief what to do on a daily basis, that's administration's job. I think that this doesn't get the job done. You know, the public knows we're concerned. We talk about it every meeting. We do interviews on it with the media. It's not like we're not doing our job and representing the public and looking for some answers. But I just want what we do to actually count and get us somewhere. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other councilman like to speak?
Let me just close by saying, Mr. Chairman, again, that I think all of us here are professional people and understand that if we keep doing the things we've been doing and getting the same results, then we need to change our approach to doing what we're doing. Again, I have the highest regards to the Shreveport Police Department. My history as a community leader, I have worked with the police over the years to eliminate some very undesirable conditions in my neighborhood. But it is apparent to me that because of the statistics that I'm looking at, that we don't have all of the collective resources to really impact what's going on now. And that's all I'm saying. That let's tap into some additional resources that could help us first cap off what we are, and then let's start to eradicate this culture. And this is not a panacea, certainly. We know the contributing factors to what's going on here: lack of jobs, lack of opportunities, poverty. You know, we have a city that has a high rate of felons, but at the same time, measures that will increase visibility and show that we are indeed going to be responsive to our citizens' safety. We need to, again, start something that will initiate something that will help ease anxieties, and they're real, that are out there. And I think this is the first approach to do that. And I think we will get some meaningful results. I think we will get some meaningful achievements out of moving in this direction, because now we're on record, which means that now we can hold people accountable for what is not happening, and move beyond conversation into something very tangible in action that will measure where we can go and come from this point on.
Last, if you honestly believe that this will bear some weight, and with the word changing, I support it. I do. I support it. Because that crime is violence, shootings, everything is up. I just want to make sure that we are doing something meaningful. And I support it. If you honestly believe that this is the start of some dialogue or something, then I support it.
I think it will.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
This is, thank you, and this is more as a request that we continue this discussion in a way. I've got to say there are parts to this conversation that I feel like are above and beyond the city in terms of the scope. You know, I mean, there are things in the judicial system that I hear about, and I hear people talk about different problems with, capacity and enforcement and the rate of recidivism, how quick we are getting, having arrests made and then arresting that same person after they've been out and back on the streets so quickly. I mean, these are things that are not just the responsibility of the city of Shreveport or the police department. And so I don't know the right way to convene that larger conversation, but I hope that we continue the focus on having it. Now we're talking about here of having, encouraging another partner into this discussion. But I hope that we will expand that conversation to those other parts of, because quite frankly, I know our police work so hard and they have so much expected of them, but they are law enforcement, officers, and the expectation that they would be able to prevent crime from ever happening in the first place is a difficult expectation to put on someone who's, they've got a full plate. And, so if we can figure out what parts of the system otherwise are not being supportive or are not working together in the right way, what parts of the overall system are sort of letting things become weaker in terms of public safety, let's expand that conversation. Let's make sure that we're not just making this about the city of Shreveport or the city or the police department or the sheriff's department, not just one entity, but some of the entities that also are involved in the justice system. If we can have a broader conversation, I think that's something that's going to have to be done to be impactful. I mean, I also hear reports of citizens who tell me, that, and of course I pass these on when I hear them, but I mean, I hear, rumors of places where they're, pretty loose about selling guns and, getting things into people's hands illegally. And so, I mean, I hear a lot of rumors, I hear a lot of opinions, I hear a lot of ideas, and it is hard for somebody who's not an expert in that field to siphon through some of that and determine what's really going to be impactful to doing that. So I just want to, before we take this vote and sort of move on to other topics, encourage us to continue a conversation, but make it a broad conversation so that we can, really change something.
But this conversation was brought up in the last public safety meeting.
And I appreciate y'all. I did hear there was. I appreciate that.
This is the council later, but you need to just come invite you to come to my next public safety meetings. The next meeting, the next Tuesday, council meeting we have another meeting. But this conversation did start our last public safety meeting. So the conversation on the crime and inviting other entities to come in and start helping. So.
Right, and let me say too, and I'm not sure, Councilman Everson, if this group is still meeting, but when I was on the commission, I was, that was my kind of area that I worked a lot in, with the criminal justice with the National Association of Counties, and then, bringing stuff back to Caddo. And one of the piece of legislation that I created was to create the Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee. And we were meeting monthly with the district attorney, with the judges. The Shreveport Police was there, as well as the sheriff, and I think Sheriff Prater eventually ended up chairing that committee to talk about those things that you were talking about, and what kind of prompted it was the overcrowding at the jail, and what was happening between the judges and the district attorney. And of course, as the sheriff said, I just have to receive, what you all are doing just comes to me, and how do we, coordinate that? But SPD was at the table as well, and that was a monthly meeting. Now, I'm not sure if it's still going on, but we may need to, inquire about that. But that was a place where we were making some headway in addressing. But now we have a new district attorney. And of course, we have a new police chief, so that we may need to look at putting that group back together.
I think that's good info, and that's kind of going back to my comments. That's exactly how this discussion ought to be taking place, and not through legislation, in my mind.
Chairman, I would remind everybody that some people voted earlier on the main motion. The vote now is on the substitute motion. So be sure that your vote is the right vote for the substitute motion.
I can't get my voting screen to come back up.
I'm sorry?
I can't get my
Yeah,
voting
can they
screen
clear
to
it
come
and
back
just
up.
start
Can you clear
over?
it?
'Cause
You can't vote over your, it's locked out.
It's gone back now. Now
Okay,
it's back.
now.
It just came out.
Okay, so this is on the substitute.
Substitute motion. Please vote.
Okay.
Motion passes. Substitute motion.
Now we need a vote on the resolution as amended.
So moved.
Motion by Councilwoman Linton, second by Councilman Brackett. Any discussion? Please vote. And that motion passes. Okay, Mr. Thompson.
Mr. Chairman, we're now in the introduction of resolutions not to be adopted prior to June the 27th. Resolution 109 authorizes the execution of a cooperative endeavor agreement between KTBS LLC.
Oh, sorry.
In the city of Shreveport. Resolution 110 states the city of Shreveport's endorsement of Market Street Shreveport LLC to participate in the benefits of the Louisiana Restoration Tax Abatement Program. Resolution 111 authorizes the mayor to execute an acceptance of the act of donation between the city of Shreveport and AS 130 Camp Fulton Marketplace LP. Hearing called the owner and acting through Stephen D. Alvis, manager for the private water and sewer mains located within the Camp Fulton Drive and Fulton Lucas Road per plat titled Camp Fulton Marketplace and related facilities. Resolution 112 authorizes the mayor to execute an acceptance of the act of donation between the City of Shreveport and Briscoe Properties LLC for the private street drainage and water improvements located in Long Lake 22 and related facilities. And the resolution that was added, Resolution 114, authorizes the mayor to execute an intergovernmental agreement and our cooperative endeavor agreement between the City of Shreveport and the town of Blanchard.
Motion to introduce, Steve.
So moved.
Second. Who's the second? Councilman Jenkins and Councilman Clark. Any discussion? Please vote.
Councilman Ball.
And motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, we're now in the introduction of ordinances not to be adopted prior to June 27th. Ordinance 66 declares certain city property to be surplus. Ordinance 67 authorizes the mayor to execute a lease of city-owned property to Lone Star Groceries. Ordinance 68 amends the 2017 budget for the general fund. Those are the three matters to be introduced.
Second. Councilwoman Lynch, second by Councilman Lynch. Any discussion? Please vote. And motion carries.
We're now in the ordinances on second reading and final passage. Ordinance 52 is a series ordinance pursuant to the 2016 General Revenue Bond Ordinance authorizing the issuance of not exceeding $50 million of water and sewer revenue refunding bonds, Series 2017 C of the city, for the purpose of refunding the city's obligation under a loan agreement relating to an issue of the Louisiana Environmental Facilities and Community Development Authority revenue refunding bonds for the Shreveport Utility System Project, Series 2005, establishing certain details of the 2017 C bonds as required by the 2016 General Revenue Bond Ordinance, approving and confirming the sale of such bonds to Capital One Public Financing, LLC, pledging the net revenues of the city's combined water and sewer system to secure the 2017 C bonds, prescribing the form and certain terms and conditions of said bonds, and providing for other matters in connection therewith. There is one amendment. It inserts the final information in the ordinance.
Second.
On the amendment.
On amendment.
Okay, motion to Councilwoman Lynch, second by Councilman Bradley. Any discussion?
On the final information that's inserted, I'm just a pause so I can double check everything. What's that?
Go to A.
Where? So now it's 50. This is lower. Yeah. Okay. Because that probably incorporates the project cost down closer. I think that we were just looking at the final amount of indebtedness is lower than what is initially expressed. So we're just looking at that number. And then does this have a final rate?
It's four, it's under 4.
It's 3.85.
3.9. 3.5.
3.5.
Excellent.
I'm done. Those are good
Okay.
answers.
Oh, I'm looking at all of them.
Those are better answers than.
We're waiting on you, Mr. Councilman.
I have not said anything. This is not one that I had any issues with. I've done a fair amount of review. But since we're on the table, so did we price some bonds? Jeff was telling me some bonds recently.
We priced on last Thursday.
These. And so once we got the new principal amounts in here, then we had to do the substitute ordinance?
Right. I'm gonna bring bond counsel up and.
No, that's good. That's all I want to make sure.
Okay. Simple enough.
But
I can
that
answer those.
3.5 is not a projected, that's actually.
That's actual.
That's the actual
Okay,
price.
thank you.
Anyone good? Anyone
Can we
good?
vote?
Yes.
One of Councilman Flory and Councilman Bowman.
That was on the amendment.
Submitted as amended. Okay, discussion? Please vote.
There we go. Are you clear, clerk? Okay.
Motion carries.
Ordinance 56 amends the 2017 Airport Enterprise Fund budget.
So moved.
Second. Who's second? Councilman Everson, second. Any discussion, please vote.
We're through voting, but I just wanted to say is, oh yeah, Mr. Thompson.
How could you forget?
I know, I'm sorry. You know, don't ask me that question. I might have to say something else. I just want to make sure, Mr. Crawford.
Yes, ma'am.
I did my men straight today. Mr. Crawford, you know, I know we're spending, Mr. Thompson, we're spending a lot of money, you know, at the airport. I know it's grant money and all of that. But I want to make sure we're keeping the grass cut on a timely basis. And we're spending a lot of money at the airport. We want a lot more people to use it. And I want to make sure the area in and around the airport stays maintained, like we do Clyde Fan in some other areas, that it stays maintained. This is one of the jewels of the city, and I'm not really feeling all the love I need to feel in and around the airport right now. Now, I think it may be the state that as you come off Monk House to get on I-20, that area around the Richmond Suites,
Right.
and the median there, I don't know if it's the state that does that or if it's us doing it for the state or what have you, but you know, if I had to leave out of the airport itself, and I'd be trying to hurry up and get out of Shreveport and get on I-20 and keep going, if I just had to base it on what it looked like in that area. So I want to make sure that Monk House and the area in and around the airport, that we treat it like it's the jewel that it is.
We'll certainly take another look at it.
Thank you.
Sure.
And I know that wasn't on this motion. It ain't got nothing to do with it.
Well, it's beautifully said, beautifully said.
Good time is ended.
Motion goes.
Ordinance 57 amends the 2017 capital improvements budget for these same projects.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilman Corbin, second by Councilman Bowman. Any discussion? Please vote. And the vote passes.
Ordinance 58 amends the 2017 capital improvements budget. I think it's for security enhancements phase 2 at the airport.
So moved.
Second. Okay, Councilwoman Lynch, second by Councilman Bowman. Any discussion?
I do have a question about
Yes,
this.
question.
Because I saw it had something about the, when you drive up and they used to stop you and make you open your trunk, checkpoint and all of that. Are we bringing that back? We're not bringing that back.
That's not coming back, no.
Okay, that's gone. Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, thank you.
Okay, please vote. Motion passes.
Ordinance 59 amends section 62, article 2, division 1 of the code pertaining to the Department of Public Assembly and Recreation.
Motion by Councilman Everson, second by Councilman Jenkins. Any discussion?
Just as a reminder, this is we passed a long time ago those rules and regulations for behavior at a dog park, and since it's taken a while to actually have one, now that we will, we've been able to look at other communities and see what works and doesn't work there, and we've modeled those rules after successful rules and best practices that we've seen. So it's just a few minor tweaks to it to make sure it works good.
Motion carried.
Ordinance number 60 amends sections of Chapter 10 concerning alcoholic beverages of the code relative to caterers of alcohol and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. There's one amendment. It replaces the ordinance as originally introduced with the attached ordinance.
So moved on the amendment.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Everson, second by Councilwoman Lynch. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion carried.
Motion, so moved as amended.
Motion, second by Councilwoman Lynch.
And let me ask on this, are we letting people know that this is a change? How are we getting
There
that
has been good
information
outreach
out?
from
Okay.
the city attorney's office and the police department about this change so far, and we've had some feedback. In fact, that's part of what this amendment seeks to do, is take some of the feedback that we've gotten from some of our caterers and make sure that we're incorporating it into the law.
Okay,
Is
great.
everyone voting?
Thank you.
Motion carried.
Ordinance 61 also amends Chapter 10 concerning alcoholic beverages of the code.
So moved.
This concerns our manufacturers.
Motion by Councilman Everson, second by Councilman Jenkins. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion carries.
Ordinance 62 authorizes the mayor to execute a lease of city-owned property to Aaron L. Buckley.
So moved. Second. Motion by Chair, second by Councilman Corbin. Any discussion? Please vote.
Just as a point of information on this one, just so everyone knows, this is a guy who currently operates a store close to the current Sporttrend exchange. And, so it's a great opportunity to see him not be impacted by the move, but be able to have an opportunity for expansion because of the move.
Okay, motion carries. Mr. Thompson?
Ordinance 63 amends sections of Chapter 36 concerning historic preservation of the code.
So moved.
Councilman Everson moves, second by Councilman Bowden. Any discussion? Please vote. And that motion passes.
Ordinance 65 is a zoning matter C-41-17. It amends Chapter 106 by rezoning property located on the south side of Brook Hollow Drive, 415 feet west of Burt Coons Industrial Loop, from B3 Community Business District to B3 PUD Community Business Plan Unit Development District.
So moved. Second. By the chair, Councilman Corbin. There's a motion and second by the chair. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, those are all of the items on the regular agenda. I'm not aware of any matter to be taken from the table.
Okay, that brings us to no proper standards, ADOs, and we have the following zoning appeal.
Mr. Chairman, we have BAC-40-17, sole contract is 3915 Calderwood Drive, south side of Calderwood, south of Sage Land Drive. This is for a special exception use in an R1D district for a secondary residential structure.
Okay, the chair at this time have two who'd like to speak. Mary Ruff, would you please come forward? Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes. Please speak to the mic.
I guess first I would just like to tell you guys how we do appreciate your service. I know this job is not easy, but as a citizen of Shreveport, I really do appreciate you. And my name is Mary Ruffins, 3800 Camrose Lane, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71119. I am I am a neighbor of the Calderwood situation, and I really would like to have heard from them to see exactly what they was trying to do. My understanding is he wanted to do a detachment of another, seems like another home. Well, when I bought my property, probably in 1983, and it's 2 acres, and I was pretty young then, and I felt like 2 acres, wow, you know, I can build 2 houses. But my understanding from the covenant was that, no, you cannot subdivide. And of course, back then, I'm a real estate broker now, so I know better. I didn't know what subdividing was at that time. But I wish I could have divided my property to move my elderly mother next door to me. But you know, rules are rules, and we have to address ourselves accordingly. So I know I couldn't do that. Now, that is my first hat. Now, I would say that 97 to 98% of the residents in that area have 1 acre, 2 or 3 acres. So, from my understanding, they want to put another structure on their property, which would be a detachment. But let me put on my second hat, which I'm a real estate broker. Now, when I put that hat on, I can say this: I'm a professional, I'm a real estate professional, which I do specialize in residential property. Now, I have been doing this for 27 years, and I am a member of the National Association of Realtors, which said that you cannot put a detachment of another home on a property and call it a man cave. If it could, I would have called it the doghouse for my husband. But you can't put a bedroom, a living area, a bath, a garage, and call it just a man cave. I mean, you can't do it, and I just think it's not conducive to our area and to the area of other people. And I think if we could, let me tell you, I want to put a structure on my back, and from my understanding, from my ordinance, from the covenant, is that that structure has to look so close to what I have, my house. Well,
expired.
Yes. My time expired? Okay, somebody give me another minute. No, thank you very much. But anyway, I am against. I am definitely against. Can I ask one question? Did you get a petition from us?
I mean, I personally got several
calls. Okay.
But
Okay.
I was worried I had missed whether you were for or against it, but you were very
I
clear.
am against, of course.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I thought that was obvious, but yes, I am against. Thank you so much.
Make sure it's clear.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman. Yes. There was some discussion yesterday about,
And we fix it, bring
was
that
there
forward.
something in the covenant? So,
Ms. Pearlie,
Okay.
Ansley, would you please come forward, state your name and address? I think she will have some information.
She is prepared.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pearlie Ansley. I reside at 6706 Sagewind Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana, and this is the next street over from our Calderwood, as you may very well know. I spoke on yesterday, and at the time the issue came up as to whether or not it was a part of our covenant. Well, when I constructed the letters that were sent out and the letters that you received, I placed within it some information from the covenant. But today I have with me a copy that I got from the courthouse this morning, an official copy of our covenants. And within the covenant it says that no one or other than a single family dwelling should reside on the lot. Additionally, it says that there should be no subdividing of lots. There should not be any large outbuildings included. Or I will pass this copy around if you would like to look at it. I have an asterisk on the page that indicates this. Also, our applicant should have first, in order to amend our covenants, it is necessary for the applicant to get signatures from 75% of the neighbors in order to amend it. The applicant did not do that. There were no signatures, and this would have avoided our having to come here today if that had been followed. But the applicant did not follow the covenant, and therefore we're using our tax dollars in both cases with the zoning commission and then appealing to the city council. And therefore I'm asking you to deny this. Please deny this. When we have, in most cases, that is why the covenant requires that we attach to our homes if we want an expansion, because we have greater tendency to monitor what goes on if it's under our roof than we do if it's in a detached building. And I would like to also show you, I have some pictures, you may pass these around, that shows the number of homes in the same neighborhood and one adjoining neighborhood who has expanded their homes, and it does not show because it's under the same roof.
I think Councilman Bradford had a question, Ms. Ansley.
Yes.
Right here.
I mean, your last statement said that there are no other structures that are outside of the covenant, to your understanding.
To my understanding. However, the applicant used as an excuse that there is a home. This neighborhood is 30 years old. I've been there 19 years and 4 months. Some way, somehow, we have a home at the corner of, it's lot number 73, at the corner of Sagewind or Calderwood, that has some type of outhouse. We believe that someone is living in the house because we have 2 mailbox numbers, 39, 37, 12, and 13.
Would you suspend this a minute, please?
Yes.
What do you mean by outhouse?
See, we're from the country, so we
I am also, but not that kind of outhouse. We're talking about detached building structure that someone is saying that maybe I'm using it for storage or I'm using it for this or that. That's what we, not the outhouse thing. I'm familiar with that one too.
Mr. Sweeney, can you come up for a minute? And while you're coming, attorney, did you review the covenant?
No, I haven't seen the covenant. I think the one that you just provided.
Yes.
No, sir.
Okay. Is there, to your understanding, is there an expiration on covenants, or do they long-standing?
Again, it goes, there's some reinscription requirements, but we don't police covenants.
Right.
It's a question of proper zoning, proper approval. But if the covenant question to me is a civil matter, it's separate and apart from what's being deliberated.
Okay. All right. So my question to you, Mr. Sweeney, and you gave us and articulated a very clear zoning standards on yesterday. If you had this information, would the board, you think, would have had additional information that would have affected their decision?
I would say, since we're not the governing body for the purposes of enforcing covenant restrictions, that I would not, I mean, this certainly could be a part of the conversation, but because we don't enforce them and are not required to do so, I would not I would not count that as being a factor for making this ultimate decision. Because from a regulatory perspective and what our ordinance requires, if my board made a decision on something that they don't enforce, then their decision would be not on a strong basis or a legal basis. And so therefore I would have guided them to say, you certainly can look at that, but when you're making your decision, make your decision on whether or not this proposed addition works with this neighborhood, is complementary to the main structure, and meets all the setback requirements of the ordinance. And if it does, and you don't have a problem with any of that, then logically that would lead you to an approval. Now, even then, I would have said to them, because the restrictions or covenants are governed through the courts. In other words, that neighborhood association and that property owner have to go through the court system, the civil system, to enforce them. Because I am not aware of whether or not all of those covenants have been adhered to over the years. Perhaps they have, perhaps they haven't. We're not in a position to judge that. But ultimately, if they had taken it to court and they had said, okay, the ruling is by the judge that you have to adhere to this covenant, then they would have to adhere to that covenant, but that judge would have to enforce it, not the ZBA board.
I'm clear on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but this is my concern. We are here forced to make a decision on information that was added.
True.
That was added.
True.
And I'm not a lawyer, but I think when you go to appeal, you don't bring in additional information, do you? You use that additional information that was provided at the trial.
Depends, but yes, for the most part.
Yeah. So I'm saying that given, yesterday I was clear from your statements that the applicants was in compliance and that they had the right to do what they did.
Right.
Now something has been added to the equation, and now we are making a determination on either sustaining or overruling what was given to us with information that the ZBA did not have. I'm asking, would it be beneficial we remanded this back to the ZBA to consider this additional information?
I don't believe so. I don't think that would change the dynamics. And there's some points I need to make. I've not seen those covenants. But one of the statements were made that you can't subdivide. Well, this applicant is not subdividing their property. They're doing a secondary residential unit on their property. So it doesn't violate that covenant. I didn't hear anything in what was said, and again, I've not read them. Does it specifically say in the covenants that you can't have a secondary residential unit on your lot?
Yes. It does.
Okay, and I've not seen them, so I just have to ask that question because I've not seen those covenants. So, but I'm going to have to come back to the fact that that has to be something done through the civil process, through the courts, and through the enforcement of those covenants. ZBA has nothing to do with that.
But again, if the ZBA board would have had this document, this information, and that it would have been considered, and they would have had an understanding that the applicant was maybe in violation, then their decision would have been different, and the appeal would have come from a different source for our consideration. I'm just concerned that we will obligate some of the information that was added today, and that your board, because your position now is that she's okay. That's your position. The ZBA's and the director's position is that the decision was okay.
Yes, sir.
And that we should uphold what the ZBA did.
Yes. But what you need to, and that's true, what your statement is true, is that even though that decision is made, and let's say you do uphold that decision today, the next course of action for the residents would be to take it to court and let the judge determine whether or not the covenants have been violated. If they have been violated, then at that point in time, the judge would make the decision, the final decision of whether or not the additional house would be constructed.
And thank you for that explanation, only because, again, we the appeal agency, and you're the entity that would ascertain whatever the law is. You're a branch of us which we expect that when you make a decision that is based on solid codes and ordinances, and that we would have to hear something beyond using the same information, but something that's unreasonable to come to some different conclusion. I mean, I'm always prone to uphold what other entities say and do, because you know you investigated, you talked about us. So either way, that the party that either is you know, prevailing or unprevailing have the option to challenge it in court.
That is correct. That is true. That is true. Okay. Ultimately, courts may end up having to make the decision. So.
Jenkins, I believe, would like to speak.
Okay. What is before us is a request for a special exception. Okay. Why? I don't know how I can grant a special exception to somebody when the neighbors are not for it, and it doesn't meet in the character in which the neighborhood was created. That to me is very, the rest of it is a little bit of noise here, because that's really, if we were saying, hey, are we going to move from residential, are we going from agriculture to R1, the old system? I get it, that would be a very, but we're asking for an exception in this case. And I certainly don't have anything before me that suggests why they should be given an exception in this particular case. What grounds have we been presented? I don't know what y'all were presented, but nothing has been presented to me while these people deserve an exception. So for that matter, I'm going to uphold the appeal or deny the motion or deny the overturn the ZBA. And that's my motion.
Well, could I ask a question?
Sure. I still would like to make a motion.
I'll second. The staff recommended. There was no opposition at the ZBA. I'm just asking, so I want to be sure to give you an opportunity to
Okay, and my answer to that is, what was revealed to us yesterday is that the neighbors were not aware of really what was being proposed, because they were very clear, both in everything we've received, that had they known this was what was being proposed, they would have been there. I mean, we had not only all the material that the letters we got, as well as the people that smoke, all came and said unequivocally, I was not given this information, or I would have been there. I mean, that was unanimous in everybody's discussion that I've received.
Well, I will note that the notice that went out within 300 feet did say in it secondary residential unit.
I understand that. But I have to argue, also 300 feet on 1 acre lots isn't necessarily the same thing as 300 feet.
Right.
That lady lived, her street was one over. She wouldn't have been.
She wouldn't even have gotten it.
Sure.
Okay, but I'm not saying that, but if somebody, we got this letter from this guy that says, hey, listen, I hear it's going to be a man cave, and then he deploys and he comes back and finds out it's, 2-car garage with a bedroom and an adjacent bath and another half bath. He clearly was not informed. I'm not saying that the information wasn't available to him, but what the information he received was inaccurate. That's not
Mr. Chairman, as councilman of the district, are you familiar with, have you engaged these residents at all?
Yes, sir.
What is your thoughts of that?
I have to agree with Councilman
He agreed with Councilman Jenkins. Yes, sir.
That we ought to overturn the CBA.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else like to speak? Council? Vote.
Wait a minute, the motion is to do it.
Is to
I think
overturn
Councilman Jenkins' motion is to overturn the ruling of the
the
ZBA,
ZBA rule.
Overturn.
To disallow the special.
which would deny the special exception use.
You can, well, did you, closing the,
No.
the public hearing?
No,
Okay,
I
well,
thought I had
no.
everybody down.
Well, you saying he wanna speak?
Huh? Okay, sir, you didn't fill out a form in the back, that's the reason I didn't recognize you. I had two to speak, if you'd like to, go fill the, is that the way we want to do it, Mr. Thompson?
Well, I'm
Mr.
trying to
Thompson?
appeal. On the appeal, do you have to fill out a paper?
Yeah, he's going to fill out,
Okay.
but that, I didn't have him, I didn't have something right.
No, you don't good today.
No, you,
No, I was just trying to make sure this guy. That's what I was saying. So you didn't make the motion. Then Councilman Chief,
Would you like me to withdraw mine?
No, I'm just waiting on this man to bring his card back in so we can talk.
and I thought. Sir, come to the mic and state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
My name is Byron Brown. My address is 937 Lazywood Lane, Shreveport, Louisiana. I didn't know this was going to become a legal matter, but I see it has become a legal matter. And it being that, we have to go by the law. And she went to the zoning board the proper way. The proper time was given for them to do what they supposed to do. They didn't do it. So the appeal that they have is not a valid appeal. If you read it, it's against zoning and not a special use. That's the law. That's the law. So what they're doing is behind the time. It's too late. They should have done that at the zoning meeting, not now. That's the law.
Can somebody restate that for me so I can?
I didn't understand, baby.
I think what he was saying is that the appeal wasn't filed in
No, what he's
time.
saying is that the appeal said that they were appealing this case and they referred to as a rezoning. And he's saying because it wasn't a
Because it's a
rezoning-
use approval, not a rezoning.
Yes.
Yeah. But
Our
the use
position
approval is
on-
what's being appealed, correct?
Our position on accepting appeals is that if it says I appeal, we accept it. We don't require the technical language or form or anything like that.
But they had the specific case on there.
Yes.
So that,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, because I don't see a change to the zoning. I mean, that's not an issue here. I mean, it's just the use approval. What's the motion on the floor right now?
I'll have to say, but
Your motion through Jerry Bowman is via Jerry Bowman.
Overturn, ZBA, and I second.
Okay,
I call for the vote.
call for the vote. Okay, the motion passed. Overturn the ZBA rule.
Okay, let's, any reports from officers, boards, and committees?
Just to remind anybody who might be interested in the infrastructure committee, next meeting, we will have a meeting next week, and we'll be sending out a notice in the next day or two with the agenda.
When's your meeting? Wednesday?
I think it's Monday. Am I right, Jackie?
That's correct.
Monday. I don't always trust my memory, but if she confirms it.
Monday at 1:30.
Monday at 1:30.
Are we on for Tuesday for public safety meeting then, the next day at 1:30?
You want it next week
That-
or?
No, for the, council meeting, 27th? 27th.
Okay, Mr. Thompson,
Yes, sir.
would you like to give your clerk's report?
Mr. Chairman, in the interest of time, I do not have a clerk's report.
Time?
Yes, sir.
Will told me I had to get somewhere.
We're gonna have to pass some legislation authorizing him to give a report.
Okay, additional communications from
Urgent.
from the honorable mayor.
No, thank you, sir.
Any communications from council members? Okay, public comments. I'd like to call Ms. Brenda Wimberly to the mic. Wimberly, if you'll state your name and address, you have 3 minutes.
Okay.
And we have another talented vocalist at the mic today.
I'm having to wear a second hat. I didn't think I'd have to do this, but I am a citizen of Shreveport. I want to just thank this committee. My head is just going from all that has been going on today. And I want to thank the mayor for what she's doing in our communities. But in the midst of civility and intelligent conversation about communities being served and not served, some communities are like a festering sore ready to just explode because of, I say, neglect. I would like for this entire council to get in your cars and drive down the corridor of Line Avenue to Linwood, block by block. Not only do we have just devastating I just can't say, I can't describe the housing.
Line Avenue to Linwood along what street? What block?
70th all the way to 70th to all the way to 3132, block by block. The blight, the horrible conditions of houses, the deplorable condition of housing there. I know that there have not been a lot of people have left the community, so we don't have a lot of landowners, homeowners there. So we have a lot of people who are now renters, and we have landlords that are just horrible. But take it block by block. We are a dumping ground for everything negative, including contractors who have made it a point to go and all the way to 3132. They place their construction, whatever, but it's dust, debris. In the community that's there, we have dust, dirt, everything. We have people who are putting 18-wheelers in our community. We cannot, it's just deplorable. I've not lived in my community over 24 years, and I come back here. And but I must say that there are some communities that do not have any revitalization going on whatsoever. It's systemic, and it needs to be. Just know that we're having a hard time here. For the last 6 weeks or so, we've had shootings. I mean, people who are in our neighborhood at 10, 11, and 12 o'clock at night, and 1 o'clock at night, shooting in our neighborhoods. Time expired. I guess I'd have to come back next week to get to
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Go ahead.
If you want to keep talking.
Yes. We've had a rash of people who are coming in our neighborhood. This is a part of Shreveport that's been forgotten. We're in the corridor of I-49. I don't know who is supposed to be taking care of the land that's adjacent to both the east and west side of 49. But it's not being manicured at the airport. What about I-49 from 70th Street all the way to Burt Coates? Who's doing that? It's deplorable. And it's just heartbreaking because it's just like we do not exist. We do not exist, or we are not supposed to be part of this whole paradigm of what's good about Shreveport. All of those terms, we do not even have, why don't we have diversified housing in this area? We have nothing in this area. I am just upset because we've been neglected here. And sure, I don't care because we are small taxpayers, we still pay taxes. We should be represented in a respectful way. All of this debris, all of this trash, all of these raggedy houses, all of this property that belongs to the city, all of this property that belongs to Carroll Parish school boards, that's neglected in our area. If I had a choice, I wouldn't live in this neighborhood. But some people have to stay in the neighborhood to make people aware of what is not being done, what's not happening. Now, all of this shooting at random, the police, we have a police substation at A.B. Palmer. I don't know what their position is or when they are in this area. But those blocks that on both houses, on both east and west side of 49, we have been forgotten. And all of those companies, there's nothing beautiful about this area. All of this commercial, all of these dumping grounds, and all of these contractors who have this debris out here. It's just, it saddens me. It saddens me, and so many things are going right for this city, but there's so many things that's wrong about this city. Everybody has to be a part of this city. Not just, I don't want to name a community that's been pushed up. All the communities have to be pushed up and represented here. It's very painful to me. But I come back here after 24 years and I find so much that has not changed. This stuff is what was happening when my daddy was standing, walking down the streets in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And we're still doing this stuff. There's nothing that's beautiful in my community. Nothing that I can say is beautiful in my community. And I get sick and tired of going out of my community so I can breathe. And that's what I'm having to do. I've lived in blended communities for all my professional life. But this, I cannot believe, is still happening in Shreveport, in certain communities. I just want to feel good about where I'm living. And I want to be not afraid to walk down the street, to have these dogs that's not even put properly in pens, and people who are just so disrespectful of the law. We cannot have any kind of community things because we have criminals almost living in every house over in our area. That's why they're afraid. People are afraid. Something has to happen here. And all of this gunfire that we are having, no lights. We have been shut out. We have signs that say that there are cameras. They should have been able to catch all of the people who've been down on this dead-end street doing all of this mayhem. There are no cameras there. There are no lights there. It's dark and scary. I'm just very upset. But for civility and intellectual conversation, get in your cars and drive down these streets and see what you see. This blight, this ugliness, all of these just torn up homes. Landlords that do not care. The city that does not care. Cattle parish that does not care. We can't even walk on the sidewalks because the grass is just everywhere.